fella right here.
Today's video will be reviewing the first class experience on the Polar Express train ride. There are plenty of Polar Express experiences all over the country this time of year. So if you're not one of the lucky ones where the train comes and picks you up outside your house,
well, you coming?
then you might want to check this video out. So getting back to the ride, as you board your train, you'll find a festively decorated train car. In the first class section, you have assigned seating. There is plenty of seating space and you have your own table where everyone can relax and feel comfortable at. And at the table, you'll see your first round of goodies already set out for you, including a Polar Express chocolate bar, your train tickets, and a goodie bag that'll come in handy later as you depart the train. And speaking of tickets, that brings me to my number one and most important tip of the video. As you can see here from my confirmation email, I bought these tickets way back on October 6th for a ride on December 14th, and that wasn't even the original date that I wanted. So the point is twofold. Get your tickets early, and if you already know that there's only a certain date or dates that you're going to be able to ride the train, you probably should be checking online for the exact dates they go on sale so you can be sure you're able to pick up the date that you're going to need. So getting back to the train, after a few minutes of everyone getting settled, the journey to the North Pole begins. Of course, the first thing you're going to have to do is show your ticket to the conductor. Thankfully, they are on the table when you get there. And now that your passenger status has been verified, of course, it's now time for some dancing, singing, and delicious hot chocolate. Your dancing experience may be different from ours, but it's pretty much a guarantee your kids are going to have a great time. With the hot chocolate now on the table, it's the perfect time to now eat the snickerdoodle cookies they have on the table as well. The hot chocolate is delivered to you in a ceramic keepsake mug. It's definitely worth taking home and continuing to use around the holiday season. Standard class still gets their own hot chocolate, but it's placed in a more traditional cup. But I'm sure it tastes just as good. Which also brings me to tip number 2, bring a bottle of water for everyone on the train. While the hot chocolate is super delicious, after drinking it and eating the chocolate bar and the cookie, all that sugar and salt definitely makes you thirsty, and they pretty much just have more hot chocolate to give you. So having a bottle of water or two in tow is a definite must. Also be forewarned about giving your kids this much chocolate in the evening, because this is what you will be dealing with on the ride home. You can't say I didn't warn you. As you ride out to the North Pole, there's an overhead reading of the Polar Express by the original author, and the assistants walk up and down the aisle with an oversized book following along in the story of the Polar Express train. And speaking of trains, that brings me to tip number 3. Arrive early to Bryson City. Bryson City is an incredibly quaint and picturesque mountain town located about an hour west of Asheville in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Getting there a couple of hours early gives you the opportunity to check out some of the local stores, but at the very least, see their incredibly cool model train museum. The model train museum is a really neat place where you can actually control the trains and some of the surrounding environment, from school lights to kids playing tug of war to an actual tornado. They have several different areas and the detail is amazing. It actually made me want to buy some and start a model train set at my house for my kids until I saw how much they were. And then I was pretty much content to continue pressing the button. In addition to the train museum, they have many more mom and pop stores. Everything from Harley Davidson stores to Native American heritage shop to, of course, the ubiquitous year-round Christmas shop. The reason it's important to get there early is because most of these stores will be closed by the time your train returns. One year we went, we had the idea we'll hit up the shops when we get back, only to find out they were closed, and that was pretty disappointing. So get there early. Back on the train, after about 30 minutes of riding, you magically arrive at the North Pole. You'll see Santa and his elves and are given a tour of the North Pole, including Santa's house, the reindeer flight school, and many other North Pole residencies. And as your train returns the way it came, you see Santa has disappeared and to everyone's joy has now joined you on the train ride. Everyone gets a chance to meet Santa and receive a special gift. After Santa passes through your car, you'll have a relaxing trip back to the depot where you can finish any treats you haven't consumed, which brings me to tip number 4. Eat dinner before you get on the train. At least in Bryson City, there are not a lot of dinner options once the train is returned to the depot other than fast food. But if you eat before you go, for example, there is a nice diner next to the depot where you can get a variety of salads, sandwiches, and other bites. There are also some other restaurants and breweries on some of the adjacent streets. But again, if you wait till after the train and haven't eaten dinner, you're going to come off hungry and a lot of the eating options are going to be closed. So eat before you get on. Once you get off the train, you're going to want to be prepared for the weather. And this brings me to my next tip. And this is definitely a regionally specific tip, but you're going to want to dress in layers. This year when we arrived, it was raining. A few years back, it was snowing. And one year, it was actually quite unseasonably warm. The point to all of this is, regardless of what the weather outside is, once you're in the climate-controlled train car, it's much easier to remain comfortable if you dress in layers. When you're on the train car, you can take off what you want to and relax and enjoy the experience. My family and I have been enjoying the Polar Express train ride every year for probably the last 10 years. So if you and your family can still hear the bell when you shake it in your house, then you're definitely going to enjoy the experience, and I highly recommend it. Merry Christmas, everybody.